Thank you, Will. We're going to start the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for the 21st of January. As I look around the table, all our members are here. Thank you for showing up. If everybody would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Move the agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Everybody has had a chance to read the minutes of November. We did not have a December meeting. Anybody have any comments or discussion items they'd like under that?
Move the agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
for
All in
the,
favor?
Minutes.
Aye.
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 Susan, non-residential design committee update?
We met this month, and we reviewed signs for a new business at 100 Garfield, Unit 9, called Treaty, and the wall sign and window signs were approved.
All right. Scott, could you brief us on the January Town Council meeting, please?
Sure. Town Council met actually twice this month. We had a special hearing a week ago to discuss or to hear comments and questions about the Wellington, Kent, and Collins proposed pedestrian pathway. At the moment, the town is taking time to respond to the questions and concerns that were brought up at that meeting. Then we had our regular meeting yesterday. We heard a update from our town manager. I think the most important note there is beach replenishment is likely to be occurring, unfortunately, this summer as it moves from Rehoboth and Dewey down into Bethany. We also adopted the Sussex County Hazard Mitigation Plan. We amended the town ordinance to comply with FEMA's requirements for flood protection, and approved the engineering fees for shoreline restoration and stabilization for the Loop Canal and for a portion of the shoreline separating Lake Bethany from the Aswama Canal.
All right. And Scott, what was the town manager's thoughts as far as when beach replenishment probably would start?
We don't have a concrete date. I think we know that the beach replenishment will begin in Rehoboth and Dewey in the spring, probably late spring, and then they'll move south from there. So unfortunately, if the timing holds, it'll probably be happening here in Bethany during some portion of the summer.
Okay, good. Thank you. This is our question and answer period. Anybody on the commission have any comments?
Mr. Chairman, I want to apologize in advance if I bumble around today. I've been wearing glasses all my life, and I just had cataract surgery Thursday, and I can see everybody, but I still need reading glasses, and I haven't figured out how to work all that out, so I usually bumble around anyway, so it might just be a little bit worse, Mr. Chairman.
I see.
I see.
Anybody else have any comments?
Not wearing purple today, so maybe it's
Oh, yes, don't worry.
That's it. Not
Don't
me.
worry. I do have purple on somewhere, okay?
Okay. Yeah, my comment is, thanks to the town, we had a Planning 101 educational seminar this past week that was very good, that the town set up for us, and I think there were 68 participants, not from Bethany Beach, but from the state of Delaware, which is supposedly, they said that was the largest number they've ever had, and it was 2 hours, very informative. I found out things that maybe we should have been doing, a couple things, but we'll take care of that. And the other thing that happened was the state planning board approved an extension for the town's 10-year plan submission to September 30th of 2023. We're trying to finish it up right now. It's pretty close, but we don't want to rush through it and make some errors. And this way, hopefully, we'll have an easier time when the State Planning Commission reviews it. That's all I have. John?
Mr. Chairman, I understand that under the current roles and so forth, that we may need to do a slight reorganization of our own commission.
Yes, one, as I said, I've learned some new things. One thing I learned or heard was that we're supposed to have a secretary, and we have a chair and a vice chair, but we've never had a secretary, so I think we need to appoint someone as secretary. If there are no objections, I'd like to bring that up at this point, and then make sure that the town solicitor agrees with what we're doing here before it becomes official. But we think we can make a recommendation here without having to go to the town council, but that'll be checked out. If in fact we can, I'd like to have John Gahn carry 2 hats as the vice chairman that he currently is, as well as secretary. If I could get a motion one way or the other on that?
I so move.
Do I have any comments, discussions? All right, from the audience? No? Okay,
Do you need a second?
I do need a second.
Can't be me.
That's correct.
Guess it can't be me.
Second. All right, we have a motion, we have a second. We've gone through comments. I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Congratulations, John. Your salary just doubled.
Thanks, Mr.
Here,
Chairman.
Wait,
you can have my,
wait,
Ah,
wait.
I got
He gets to work
my pad here to take notes as the secretary.
Keep your glasses on.
and we did that when your eyes were good. Okay. All righty. Well, let's go to new business. I think we have some people here, so hopefully we can move through this fairly quickly so they can get back to this beautiful weather we have. First item under new business. Oh, yeah, I didn't do that. Well, yeah. Okay. Will inform me that I skipped over public comments. Are there any public comments on something? Okay, thank you. Oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry.
Does someone have one? No?
Somebody have public comment? Okay. New business. Consider and possibly vote on the application for partitioning for property identified as lots 6, 8, and 10, Block 113 at 300, 302, and 304 Hollywood Street. Susan?
Okay.
Have we gone through all the, dotted the i's and crossed the t's as far as notification?
This, yes. Come on, I gotta find hers. Yes, this was published in the Wave November 8th and the Coastal Point November 11th. Property was posted on the 4th. It was posted around town, and I believe the 5 typical locations on the 4th, and it was put on the website. I believe also a notice was sent out, an amended notice was sent out and posted that the date had been changed from the originally set date of December to January. And unfortunately, my secretary isn't here, so I don't know when she did that.
Can't blame that on me.
No, not this secretary.
Okay. Are there any questions, comments from the Commission. John?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to thank the applicants. They had originally filed this, and it would have come up in December. And with our not having a meeting, they were gracious enough to allow this to move to January. So just from the very beginning, thank you for that consideration.
Okay, are there any representatives from the owner? If you will go up to the podium and state your name, your address.
Want me to go first, don't you?
Pardon?
Don't I do the report first?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Been a long day. My wife's out of town, I'm all.
Did you get your coffee?
Go on, Susan, I'm sorry.
That's all right. All right, this is 300, 302, and 304 Hollywood Street, lots 6, 8, 10, block 113. And the owners of 300, 302, and 304 Hollywood are requesting that the parcel be partitioned into 2 lots. The property was approved as a planned residential development, or PRD, for 3 units in 2002, and is improved with 2 units. The current 2 owners wish to dissolve the PRD and to subdivide/partition the property into 2 lots along a proposed interior lot line that also delineates existing ownership. According to town records, at the Planning Commission meeting on July 20th, 2002, the Planning Commission reviewed a sketch plan of a proposed 3-unit PRD from then-owners Gregory and Patricia White for the properties known as 300, 302, and 304 Hollywood Street. Number 2, at the Planning Commission meeting on August 17th, 2002, the Planning Commission considered and approved an application filed by then-owners Gregory and Patricia Wright for properties identified as lots 6, 8, and 10, block 113, known as 300, 302, 304 Hollywood Street, to combine the lots into 1 parcel. So that was the first step. They did a combining. Now it's 1 parcel. 3, the proposed PRD was again on the Planning Commission's agenda in September 21, 2002, as old business and preliminary plans were approved. Final plans were approved at the October meeting, and a copy of the approved plans was not found on file. A building permit for a new dwelling for Lot 6, Hollywood and Route 1, was issued April 2003. A building permit for moving a dwelling was issued in May 2004. This was in county records, and I could not find a corresponding town permit. The condo documents that I have are dated August 2003, and I believe I gave you copies of everything that I had found. The PRD was approved with no interior lot lines. The condominium documents and accompanying surveys that show the parcel carved up into 3 separate lots were prepared to show limited common elements only. At this point, those interior lot lines only identify the specific areas of ownership. The PRD was also approved with a stormwater management plan that included a pond that I don't believe was ever done. I did contact Sussex Conservation. They had some paperwork on it, but they did not have a plan either. Today, there are 2 owners. Robert and Rona Kellner are the owners of 300 Hollywood Street and approve of this partitioning request. The applicants, Mark and Ilana Tanowitz, own the limited common area identified as 302 Hollywood Street, an unimproved area of the parcel, and 304 Hollywood, improved with a single-family dwelling. They are seeking to dissolve the PRD and partition the property to reflect current conditions of use and ownership, and to be able to install the pool in the rear yard. There are no plans to construct a 3rd dwelling. Based on the information they provided, the property is zoned R2 residential and consists of 14,970 square feet total. There are 2 single-family dwellings, a pool, and a shed on the property. Lot A, Lot 6, is a corner lot and will have 43.32 linear feet of frontage on Hollywood and will consist of 6,635 square feet of area. The lot is improved with a single-family dwelling. The required setbacks are 20 feet front, 15 rear, 15 feet on Route 1, and 7 feet on the interior side yard. The existing deck encroaches into the side yard, fronting on Route 1 by 6.7 feet, and into the interior side yard by approximately 3 to 3.5 feet. The proposed partitioning may only create the encroachment on the right side that was technically already created by the development of the interior lot lines that outline limits of common elements. Lot B is lots 8 and 10, is 8,335 square feet in area and would have 66.68 linear feet of frontage on Hollywood Street. It is improved with a single-family dwelling that encroaches into the front yard setback by 0.6 feet and into the right side yard by approximately 0.5 feet. Pursuant to Appendix 3, Table of Dimensional Requirements, in the R2 district, the minimum street frontage is 60 feet and the minimum lot area for single-lot dwellings is 7,000 square feet. Lot A, as a corner lot, can meet the frontage requirement, but due to the way the PRD was sold to each party, cannot meet the area requirement. However, almost all of the lots on both sides of 300 blocks of Hollywood Street are 40 feet wide. The address for this lot would remain and less than 7,000 square feet. The address for this lot would remain 300 Hollywood Street. Lot B would meet both lot size and frontage requirements for lots in the R2 district. Without the partitioning, the owners may be required to limit any future improvements and possibly install stormwater maintenance as was originally approved by Sussex Conservation or as now required by Sussex Conservation. And what was attached to this was a letter from Mr. Tanowitz, the application for the partitioning, proposed partitioning plat, minutes from the Planning Commission meeting from September 2002, public notice for combining the lots from August 2002, sketch plans, the application for combining from July of 2002, the approved plat from combining, the condominium declaration plan was 2 pages, and the Planning Commission meeting minutes from October 2002. Questions, which I'm sure.
I'd like to thank you for sending that to all of us ahead of time.
Yes. Basically, it's a problem now. Now they have ownership involved, and we've had one like this before. Similar was the one on Hudson, which had the dog leg, and we went through because of issues with ownership. Went through and approved it as it was done. This one's a little bit different in that it was approved as a PRD before they changed the regulations for planned residential developments where you had to have much more land to do them, et cetera. It was then, by the developer, sold off as parcels inside of that. And if you look at the original one actually has no frontage. There it's highlighted. So that's how ownership was carved out of this lot into where each house would be. I have no idea if the houses were built as they were proposed for distance between them or anything. I know I've spoken with Mr. Tanowitz. He would like to add a deck to the side, which would put it encroaching into what would have been a lot number 3.
Okay.
So all of this, any more development, it's difficult to tell what they could do if the future changes for this, and somebody then comes along and says, wait, there's a back lot here, which, since Mr. Tanowitz owns both, I think it simplifies the whole matter to have them then have total control over what they actually do own. Yes, sir.
Susan, on page 1 of your explanation at the bottom, it says, the final sentence says, they're seeking to dissolve the PRD and partition the property to reflect the current conditions of use and ownership, and to be able to install a pool in the rear yard. I only ask that because there's already a pool there, if I'm not mistaken.
There is.
And by doing this, this would allow them to put a second pool?
Well, by ownership then, Mr. Kellner, Mr. and Mrs. Kellner have then their property and their pool, and then if Mr. Tanowitz still wants to, he could put a pool in his
Gotcha,
yard.
okay. I thought we were looking at putting in a pool, and when I drove by to see the property, there's already a pool there, and I was just... My second set of questions relates to the various encroachments that we have. And I need to better understand whether, if we do this partition, eliminate the PRD requirements and the stormwater management, do those encroachments disappear, if you will, because the lots now, am I making myself clear?
Yes, no, they don't. That's basically the biggest problem with this, is that you can't really go to Board of Adjustment because there is no encroachment in the center right now. That's the only thing that's affected by this line, is that by dividing these, it will create that encroachment on the one side, on the interior side, but there's already ownership issues. So we can't move the line because that's how they carved up the common elements.
So even if we do this, the owners would probably have to go to the Board of Adjustment to address those encroachment issues. I am asking this question in the context of we're always trying to avoid having to have people go to the Board of Adjustments or to have a variance, or I may not be using the right term. But I want to just understand, if we do this, what burden we're putting on the petitioners in terms of those quote encroachments, and whether that would put any kind of a shade on their deed, so when they went to sell it, if someone might contest it.
Well, I don't know that anyone would contest it. And in my opinion, no. They would not have to go to the Board of Adjustment. There's only one encroachment that's created. There's just one. The rest of them are there. This doesn't impact them at all. So I don't know how they all happened. I don't know how this got to this point. But because they're now owned as common elements, he owns that whole section. And Mr. Tanowitz owns what's shown here as Lot B. He owns both of these parcels. So if he wanted to do something in the back, my plan shows that that's supposed to be a house. I can't
Okay.
have an accessory structure there. It's not, it's supposed to be something else. So it limits his use of his property. And I can't move the line because they've already carved it up by ownership.
So the bottom line, if we were to do this, is to clean up some of what I would call Irish penance. I'm a retired Coast Guardsman. That's a term used for loose ends and so forth. And I want to be sure that we're doing everything we can to cleanse this property of any of these impediments. And I think myself, it sounds to me like we are in fact doing that. But I wanted to just get it on the record and be sure.
In my discussions with Mr. and Mrs. Tanowitz, this is the cleanest way to then have them have full rights over their own
Okay.
properties without having to research more, and there is no PRD, basically. The way that they've carved it up, it's now basically two lots anyway, and they would like to have full rights over their own property.
Mr.
Mike,
Chairman.
okay, go ahead.
My final question. If we were to approve this, and the PRD went away, what obligation is there to then undo the stormwater management aspects? If it's dissolved, the county would just say, okay, it's dissolved.
Well, and they never did it, so, and I don't think Sussex Conservation would make them go back, but I would have to then look at where we're putting things so that if they needed a pond, we would have to do something. With it dissolved and put into 2 lots, you don't have to have
Right.
stormwater management, and there would be no issue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Okay, so basically, the PDR will be dissolved.
PRD.
PDR, PRD, okay, okay, got it. Okay, so then that lot that was B is still separate from the other, there's still 2 lots on that property to the right?
There'd be 2 lots. No, there'd be Lot A, and then what was shown as common
Oh, okay,
elements.
Element, okay,
All that goes away.
that goes away.
Yeah, because it's
Okay.
not a,
But on your plans, there's still a house to be built on, okay, so that goes away too?
goes away.
Okay, that's fine, that clarifies it for me, thank you.
I'm good, thank you.
Would anybody in the audience like to make a statement on this? If you do, please state your name and your address, and please go to the podium. Okay. Do I have a motion?
Sure, Mr. Chairman. I would move for approval of the properties at 300, 302, and 304 Hollywood Street being partitioned into 2 lots. The PRD would be dissolved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any comments again? All in favor?
Aye.
It passes. Thank you. And again,
Hey, hold on, I need you to sign something. I gotta go make a copy.
and again, I'll thank you for letting us take a month off. That went a long way into this.
I've had a cottage here for 40 years, and I have to say that early this morning was the first time I had ever been down that part of Hollywood Street, because it's a no outlet. And you really can't get to it if you come up from the beach. You gotta turn right. And it's a beautiful block. Yeah.
Well, John's eyes are fixed, so he just
Yeah.
realized it wasn't street. All right. We have to wait for Susan to get back.
Need a booster seat. I need a booster seat. These are not built for little people. I shouldn't say little, short. Mine's not in color, so this.
Did you print yours out?
Yeah, and it's just an awful print job, so this is much
I
better
didn't even attempt it.
if I ever read it again. Yeah, much better than mine.
Goes to the right, okay.
Felt good to get some direction. I mandated in a week.
Copy machine.
Actually,
I don't care what they do, I can't have you still like looking for my soul, like.
we're going to take a 5-minute break until Susan comes back, so if anybody needs to get coffee or whatever, we'll be back on in about 5 minutes.
John, it was strange yesterday.
Yeah, I just needed,
And then it became not.
I just had to make a few copies. They have to sign it as well. If they put a signature block on these now, it's not signed off on it. Maybe they'll take it from there. And I try and tell them, it's just the time. I don't believe it.
Wonder when he went to Lyle. He went to Lyle. The name doesn't sound familiar. Is he younger?
Yes, he's younger than us.
Okay, we're back in session. Our second item on the new business is consider and possibly vote on an application for petitioning for property identified as Lot 5, Block 140 at 69 Kent Avenue. Susan?
All right. I do not see the owners here, but Benjamin and Bria Wang are requesting to partition 69 Kent Avenue into 2 lots. Based on the information provided, thank you very much. The property is zoned R2 residential and consists of 98,881.2 square feet, 2.27 acres. The lot is 581.38 feet deep and has 170.09 feet of frontage on Kent Avenue. The lot is improved with a dwelling and a pool located around the center of the lot. Proposed parcel A is approximately 77,101.2 square feet and has 60 feet of frontage on Kent Avenue and is free of any improvements. Parcel B has been carved out of the larger parcel and is rectangular in shape. The remaining parcel has a 200 by 60 section that then widens into the main portion that is approximately 170 feet wide and 381.52 feet in size. The address for parcel A will be 69 Kent, parcel B will be 71 Kent Avenue. Pursuant to Appendix 3, Table of Dimensional Requirements in the R2 district, the minimum street frontage for interior lots is 60 feet. The minimum lot area for single-dwelling lots is 7,000 square feet. Both of these would meet that criteria. Copies of the survey showing the proposed new lots were attached.
And I assume all the proper notifications were made to the
All right.
adjacent
Yeah.
property owners. and-
I don't have the file for when it was published, but I know it was. The property was posted December 9th. Notices were posted around town on December 9th. Notices by mail were sent on the 9th, and the website was done on December 9th as well.
Are there any questions of Susan? From the commissioners? No, no questions? Okay, are there any questions from the audience? Somebody like to speak? Yes, sir. State your name, your address, please.
Good morning. My name is Dan Martin. I live on 412 The Kites. We are north of 69 and 71 Kent Avenue. I have a couple of questions, basically. So, is permit required for any kind of moving in dirt and clearing that is going to take place on this new lot? And if so, what's the length of the permit?
I'm sorry, and if so, what?
Is there a permit required for any moving of dirt, clearing of trees on this property? And if so, what's the length?
If so, and I didn't hear what the rest of you said. Okay, well, there is no permit required right now for demolishing trees or clearing a lot. They have to give me notice.
Okay. And my big concern with this lot is naturally, we get a lot of flooding in the lot between us. Is he going to be allowed to bring in all kinds of topsoil to change the topography of the land?
I'm sorry, is he going to what?
Is he going to be allowed to bring in all kinds of topsoil to change the topography of the land so that it drains onto the spare lot in between us?
He's not going to be permitted, I don't know the topography of this lot as of yet. I don't have an elevation certificate or survey or anything that shows me what the actual grades are, but they will have to meet up with the grades or not be any higher than the grades of the adjoining lots or abutting lots from the Beechwood properties.
Okay, because he still has like about 4 or 5 truckloads in his backyard, which hasn't been moved yet, which can very easily be moved to the front. That was my concern.
I have no record of any of that. I don't know.
Okay, and just one last question. So with the clearing of trees and any other debris, is there any burning allowed inside Bethany?
I don't know.
Burning.
Burning of trees, tree stumps, and I thought it was a town ordinance that you weren't allowed to burn.
Don't know.
I don't have that answer either. Does any of our any of our council people know the answer to that?
I don't know the answer to your question, sir, but I don't have any recollection of with somebody improving a lot, they're being allowed to burn, but I don't know, I honestly don't know.
Lou, did you?
I believe they are, as long as it's a controlled burn, where I believe our code allows them to do control burn. That it cannot be, has to be someone there at all the time in the presence while it's burning. It can't be done and then walk away. But I think there you can have a control burn in, obviously if it's a safe way of doing it. But obviously you're very close to another residence, so like that, it would have to be something looked at by the town before they could do that.
Good. Yeah, and I echo, thanks, Lou. I echo what John said. I've never seen somebody do that.
Yes, 251-1, open fire to distribute shall be unlawful for any person to burn or set fire to any lot or land, vegetation, trash, refuge, waste. I know, Will, you're gonna hand me that thing.
It's our assistant town manager. Will's in trouble
Sorry.
now.
Waste or other matter or thing unless the same be done in a container, incinerator, stove, or fireplace used in dwelling or building, and which container, incinerator, store, or fireplace is connected to a chimney or other device. So you cannot do open burning.
Does that answer your inquiry?
Yes, that does. Thank you.
Thank you.
So do you have some indication that that's his plan, or?
Well, that happened on his existing lot. That's why I'm asking the question for future reference. Okay, I have nothing else. Thank you.
Nothing, I have nothing put there right now, but yeah, you're certainly welcome to see this. It's right here. You can't have this, but you can look at it. Okay. Yes.
Mike, I do have a question, and it's similar to the issue that we ran into on the Hudson Street properties with like moving. How long will they have to move the driveway to come into compliance with the new lot lines? Or do we have anything for that?
That's a good question. I don't know. I know it's his intention to do that, but, I guess until he decides to develop the other lot. I don't,
Well, he'll remain the owner of both lots
yes.
after, yeah.
That was what I was told.
So with that in mind, he could leave the driveway crossing those lot lines, I guess.
I don't think he wants to. I think he wants to have one entrance into the property. I know that he was considering whether he could enter both properties from the one driveway, which I'm sure DelDOT would be more than happy to let him do, because that's Kent Avenue.
To be removed, okay, that's gonna be removed, so they're gonna come in here.
Anybody else in the audience have a comment they'd like to make?
That one back. This one.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. I have to have them sign it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Gwen Ferrugia. I live at 517 Doral Drive, which is not directly behind this lot, but directly behind the other wooded lot next door. And I wasn't able to come during the day on a non-holiday to look at this before this morning. But I guess my thought is just, and maybe you can just address this, like each of these things being built, different properties being renovated and built one at a time, which all seem innocent in and of themselves, but I feel like the renovation to the current property, I don't know, you can say it's level, but compared to the house before, it's high. I mean, it's up, and those of us, I don't know where the stormwater's going if they keep, building more properties and letting them go higher, because the house next door to me was also an empty lot, and about 7 years ago, they approved it to be renovated, and now it's like higher than the lots, and everything drains back to that land behind on the neighboring lot, which if it continues to do that, it's going to start overflowing into our backyards. So that's just my concern. I mean, just a thought. I don't know storm management-wise, how it would affect, and, you can
That
speak.
should not be happening.
Yeah.
The town does check on that.
Yeah,
This-
but it's just kind of like one house at a time is approved, and that lot next door, I think it's 67, Kent, maybe? That's, or 70, I'm not sure what's on the other side, where the wooded lot is next door. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so. The one where there's, the duplex was built in the front?
There's some structure in the front, right next door to this, and it's also a deep lot that goes all the way back to my street. But
Yes.
anyway, they had tried to develop, or do a development there years back, and they said they couldn't because of the water management.
yeah,
So I'm
this-
just curious, like, I mean, I don't have any problem with what they're doing up at the front, honestly, but I guess my thought is just addressing, where the water goes when they're renovating this, because if it's all gonna just be flowing back into the neighboring lot, which is low, that eventually is starting to, every time we get a rain, after these higher houses are built on either side, it starts getting further and further into our yards. So if that keeps happening, that's just my thought, and I'll just let you address it.
Yeah, we've had, that property has been,
Both of
Turned
those
over.
properties were the families that owned both of them at one time, and they do back up to Doral. They tried for years to do a subdivision there with 17 lots or something, which failed because they could not develop a plan that handled the stormwater. So, and doing a development like that, they would have to do that. I don't have any information on the lot that I believe backs up to you at this point. Nobody has come in with anything. This lot that is being created here doesn't have the frontage to do a duplex, so it's only going to be a single-family home. Mr. Wang, who owns the existing house back on this parcel, is not planning to tear it down or do anything more. We have checked on the grading that he's done there, and it has been leveling off on the side, mostly that abuts the properties on Beechwood. I don't know of any work that has been done way in the back toward Doral. Now, it was brought up during the reviews of the proposed subdivision that a lot of the water there does drain from other neighborhoods into the back of that lot. They are allowed to raise lots to be even with the properties around them and fill in low spots. They're not supposed to make them higher than the properties adjacent, and we work very hard to make that happen.
Mr. Chairman, if I just make a comment. I don't know how long you have owned your property. Had that prior application for the subdivision, I mean, there would have been, I believe it was 17 to 19 houses. I don't believe that this partition is going to change the stormwater management there and that part of it. And it's certainly not comparable to what could have possibly been done had that development gone through. That may not be of much solace for you, but
No, I mean, I agree it's not at the same as a full
Right.
development, but as the other gentleman pointed out, there are several loads of dirt and, soil in
What-
the back, but I don't know if they plan to fill more of that property in and raise it as well, but that's fine, that was just my comment.
is my recollection when the previous time we dealt with this was most of the flooding concerns were way in the back, where the ditch is. There's a pipe, drainage pipe in the back of that property, and also the backyards of Lakites Avenue. And those were the major flooding areas, as I recollect, that we were concerned with. And a lot of that had to do with, as John said, the number of units they were going to put in. As a matter of fact, I think the state was telling them they were going to have to put in a holding pond, and they're going to lose 2 lots because of that. And
I think their last plan was actually to put a giant ditch on the back property line.
Yeah.
That was partly, you have an easement there for that, and they were going to try to get that easement in there and put an easement in to take the water all the way through other neighborhoods, and that was soundly denied. They,
Yeah,
they
'cause
didn't
on
want
that
that at all.
And Sea Colony is the owner of part of that ditch that runs parallel to or into Bethany West. It was a nightmare. I suspect with this plan, knowing the property, you're not going to have a problem, I don't think, with anybody. Plus, the town is very cognizant of any flooding, so they tend to watch that pretty close. We've had some other properties in the last 4 or 5 years where actually we've denied, the plans have come in because of potential for flooding. And I think now the town is very concerned about any sort of water flooding on anywhere, you know. If you notice Atlantic Avenue, we spent a lot of money to make sure that didn't flood anymore, and we're doing a lot of other stuff on the canal. So I think you could be secure in the thought that if there's any possible chance of a flooding event, it won't be allowed. So that would be my thought.
Can I also just
Yeah.
note that I think if you see something that you feel like is maybe happening kind of outside the building code or the town's ordinances, I would just encourage you to reach out to either Susan Frederick or John Morton, our code enforcement official, and use them as a resource. And if you know, and I wouldn't just say that specifically about this property, I would just say that in general.
I think they have. We have been over there to look at, I don't know if John and I both have been over there to look at the grading and everything, and if there's new dirt, then we can certainly revisit it. Anytime we hear something, we generally do that.
Yep.
Things that happen when we're not here, I would recommend that you contact the police department, because I'm not here sometimes.
And that would be the case of like open burning or something like that, you know, either the code official or the police department, they can take care of it.
Any other audience comments? Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
yes, ma'am.
Just curiosity, is there any plan at this point to put a dwelling on the parcel B?
When this was all done originally, when I talked with the applicant to do a house for his mother.
And he's not ready to do that at this time. He's going to do it, but I don't think it's anything imminent, is it?
That was my understanding of the intent of this.
Is it it's really a nice lot, it's such a heavily wooded lot. I was just curious what they were going to do with that parcel B that is the most wooded.
I don't have any plans yet, yeah.
That's another thing, as you well know, we're concerned with.
Yes,
but
exactly.
good. Well, do I have a motion for this
Mr.
project?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that the commission approve the application for the partitioning for property identified as Lot 5, Block 140 at 69 Kent Avenue.
Any further discussion? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approved, thank you. Okay. Let's see. We are going to take a 5-minute break before we get on. So one, you can leave, because from now on it'll get boring. You're more than welcome to stay, but if you like, it's a good time to leave, and the commissioners can do whatever they need to do for 5 minutes. Thank you. Have a great day. back in session. The next item is old business, a brief update from the Comprehensive Plan Subcommittee. And Mark, are you doing that, or is John doing that?
I could take it, sure.
Okay.
Yep, so as you mentioned earlier, this week, the Cabinet Committee on State Planning issued a 6-month extension through September 30th, which helps just tie everything up as it relates to the plan and the final stages of readings and approvals and all of the other items that happen with that. I shared with this commission, you all, earlier this week, chapters 6, 7, and 8 in sort of final draft form. Those will go to the town council, I believe, after we get your comments back next week. And then there's a workshop, I believe, planned later in February to review that. And then as we just go on, we're looking at some tentative goals here of receiving that feedback, also distributing it to Sussex and Ocean View in March, and then graphic design layout tune-ups on that in April, with the goal of getting everything essentially through plus and readings and certification by end of summer.
Okay, thanks, Mark. I think I want to make a change to the way we're operating subcommittee to the commission. I'd like us to, I know we got the stuff to review and get back to you on the 29th, but I think what we're going to do is, instead of doing it independently, I would like to bring the comments back to the full commission so that we can have a dialogue amongst the 5 members plus Scott and Susan before it goes to the officially goes to the town council, because I'd hate to send something to the town council and then changes be made and then everybody didn't agree to them. We're missing that one step, and then when we get it back to the town council, they go, well, wait a minute, this isn't what we saw before, why did you change it? And so what I'd like to do is, instead of doing it independently, bring it back to us, sort of like they do in the government. The committees report back to the main body so they can decide what they're going to send forward to Senate or whatever. So we can, if anybody has a comment to what I just said, I'd like to hear it. You don't have to agree with me, but I think the interaction amongst the commissioners has always been beneficial in the past. And in this way, like I have some comments I've already made on 6 through 8. They're not big because it looks really good, but it may be something that somebody else wouldn't want or had some additional comments. So that's my.
Mike, I think Rosemary would like to.
Yeah. Mike, could you do that if there's just substantive comments?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
You're talking about coming back for another meeting on chapters 6, 7, and 8, and that pushes it. If you do that in February, we can't meet until March, so we're pushing everything back. And I'm just wondering if you could do one of 2 things maybe. Either have a meeting and consider it together if you have substantive comments, or in the alternative, maybe have a special meeting.
Well, that's perfectly fine with me. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, go ahead.
I guess one other thing is, if they are not hugely substantive, couldn't those comments be brought up at the reading at the town council level also, and still make their way into changes? So I think a lot of the commissioners have been in attendance for those.
In other words, meet together at a workshop?
Well, I'm saying when I'm just spitballing here, but we at the town council level do a reading of each of these chapters, and largely that's been pro forma. It's really just been reading and agreeing to, and I've noticed that a lot of the planning and zoning commissioners are usually in attendance for those readings. So it feels like those readings are an opportunity to still make a change to something there. So like if we have our reading of chapter 6 and 8 scheduled for February, and the commissioners could make it, though any comments you have could make their way in at that level rather than pushing it out a month.
Like a joint workshop. Yeah.
Sure.
Well, as long as the commissioners feel comfortable in, sitting with the council, and, I mean, because you guys get paid the large bucks, we don't, and,
A thousand times what you get paid. Yeah.
Double our
so
salary.
we don't want to be intimidated by your presence. My concern is that, and I don't mind doing it that way, I don't mind special meetings or whatever, as long as the planning commission can eyeball each other and say, I like this, I don't like this, or send this forward. I mean, I have no problem with that.
That's
It's
where the
about-
real fear comes in, is you eyeballing each other.
And John can really eyeball us now.
That's right.
Watch out for the evil eye.
Mike,
Yeah,
you should.
we can do that if we want to, yeah, it's fine with me.
I think, I mean, and I say this a lot to clients, like, it's basically September now, so even though we got an extension to September, it's going to be here before you know it.
Oh, no, I understand, yeah.
Yeah.
This was not meant
Yeah.
to slow the process up. And a part of my thought process when I was going over this earlier in the week was, well, we might have to have work sessions of some sort to get this done.
And
Because
to-
we just can't, and I agree, we really can't wait 1 month, and then we have some big problem. Now we have to redo it, and Mark's going nuts on the computer.
So to the mayor's point, if they're substantive, maybe we schedule a special meeting. If they're minor or just tweaks, maybe they can be handled at the reading or the workshop.
I'm hoping that you're right, that I don't think there's going to be a lot of disagreement on anything, but, and Luke and, sometimes we do get into not an impasse, but there's like, wait a minute, I just don't want to do that. And so when's your next meeting?
The workshop?
Yeah.
We'd probably have that the 3rd, what is that, the 13th of February? The Monday before our council meeting on Friday.
Okay.
I don't know the date offhand. I think it might be the 13th of February, I'm not sure. Is it?
Make your
The 13th.
Valentine's Day plans, come
Yeah.
workshop some.
I won't be
Comprehensive
babysitting in
planning.
New Hampshire, so.
Monday to 13th.
Mike, you should also see how many zeros there are in my paycheck after the decimal point.
That's right.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll do it that way then. We will, all the commissioners, please plan to go to those meetings. And now, yeah, I'm talking because I haven't been to any because I have been out of town, but, okay.
Well, I think it will be pretty obvious once we go over those chapters that Mark has just sent us, that if we do have disagreements, we'll know ahead of time versus just probably, from the past ones, it's been pretty good reading, so I don't think we've had a lot of extra comments after the subcommittee has worked.
So, I have my comments here, so I won't go over and. at this-
We'll send them to us.
Well, yeah, I'll send them to,
Yeah.
I'll send them to Mark before the 29th, so everybody can have them.
I was just going to say, Mark has asked us to send him any comments, so you'll know ahead of time if there
Yeah.
Yeah.
are issues.
And the subcommittee's meeting
13th,
on the 8th.
8th.
The
Okay.
8th.
Right.
So we will have them ahead of that workshop.
Okay.
Do we
That's
know what time the workshop will be yet, by any chance? What time, on the 13th?
Morning. It's usually in the morning at 10.
Okay, I don't think I'm here.
We're going to have to change an appointment.
And I mean, I
Will we
think you
be
could also just
notified,
ask your comments a
by
little
email
before, too, 'cause
as a reminder for the workshop?
This is the second,
John,
2 for this.
Okay, that looks like it.
If you haven't been to the workshops or the readings, they've been largely, they've gone largely without change, and I think that's a credit to the work that John, Mark, and Terry, and everybody with the IPA, and Rosemary,
Sign is-
everybody who's been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and John. Did we say John twice? Yeah.
Now John can see what he's.
Look, now, well, we said it twice because he's secretary and vice chair.
All right, so while we're signing these documents, do people like my reading glasses down? Or is it better down? Okay.
Out of order.
No, but see now, when they're this, I can't see you because they're reading. I've got, all right. I'll figure it out at some point, but
And sometimes we're pretty serious here.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
That's it.
When did, any other notes I have here? Well, here's an example of what, yeah, if I can spend 2, 3 more minutes on this. Here's an example of what getting together would do. In my review of your review, I came up with, I had question on who, should be sending this to South Bethany, and, as opposed to just Ocean View in Sussex County. And also, I had a question about setting up setting up an annual report to meet Title 22, subsection 702F, which we're supposed to send an annual report to the state board. We probably, I had a thought, well, maybe that ought to be part of the 10-year plan. We'll do it, in June of every year or whatever. And the other thing is, I think this was this traffic? Did this have, were these sections 6 through 8? Do we have? I can't. Yeah, some of the things I noticed, we had, one thing, we quoted a traffic requirement or study or something like that, and I didn't know what that one was. So it's something that I wanted to ask a question so I could comment on it. And housing, which has always been a unique comment from the state, I think requires discussion by not just us, but by the town council too, because that's such a hot topic for the state. And I'm not quite sure everybody has a handle on it. Lou does have a handle on it, I know that. But so there are things that I'd like to just discuss based on when these sections come out. So we can do that, it'll work well. All right?
Okay.
All right, that completes old business. A summary. We got everything done that we needed to get done. Approved the two items and discussed some old business. Anybody have anything to add? Any comments? John?
motion to adjourn.
Do I have
I
a second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye. Cool.
Oh, that's an hour and a half, very good.
Chapters coming around.
That was good.